and welcome to another edition of Drinking with Comics, the show where we clap randomly throughout the night. That wasn't very random, but hey.
That's how we Foley.
I'm Shawn. This is Mike. Tonight's guests, we have Josh Finney.
Hello there.
And Kat, I totally blanked on your last name
Rocha.
at this moment.
Rocha.
Thank you.
Jesus Christ, it's right here and right here and right there.
You're right.
No, I appreciate that you asked, though. A lot of people pronounce it Rocha, and no.
Rocha.
I actually didn't blank on it. I just wanted to... No, I'm kidding. I'm backpedaling now.
How's
Anyway,
it going?
Hi.
So they are here with us, and we have Joe Baxter on cameras. And
Once again.
Science Officer Aaron and a live studio audience. So thank you.
A great, look at this beautiful, like the most beautiful audience ever.
It's raining outside, which is wonderful. It's a nice warm rain.
Is it warm?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Is it warm?
I know this because I just actually urinated out back at the
You
comic
did.
bar.
Yeah, it's a warm rain.
It was wonderful.
Those are called golden showers, by the way.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. You're the one who fucking did it, dude.
You told me to do it.
But you didn't have to.
Obviously,
if I told you to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, I know. I walked right into
You know?
that. I apologize. So anyway, I apologize.
Anyway, it's all good. We love you.
Okay, first, before we begin with Josh and Kat's stuff, because I'm super excited, what is the beer that we're drinking?
It is called
Tusk and Grain.
Tusk and Grain.
And it's St. Archer, I believe.
It's St.
correct?
Archer. It's
From
not
San Diego.
refrigerated.
So this is from San Diego. So
Like where you guys are from. And Chris out there is drinking something from San Diego too.
is the microbrew capital of the world.
It is. Why do you think that is? Because you live there, so...
Actually, probably because the weather is pretty steady, so you can get in a consistent brew every time.
Oh,
okay. There you go.
We gotta have you guys back on. That was like...
Do you guys drink a lot of beer?
No, but I love the science behind beer.
Kat has
so.
a strange, bizarre encyclopedia knowledge of beer and brewing.
It was great when I went and got
might have a new
my
science
degree
officer.
in business. My favorite teacher taught us business through beer and the beer industry.
Really?
And,
Fun teacher.
Specifically using Dogfish Head as an example.
Who?
Dogfish Head.
Okay.
And because he is an amazing rags to riches story, and just how he went to the edge of bankruptcy and back into raking in millions of dollars over and over and over again. And so it was a wonderful way of learning how to and how not to run a business.
Right.
And as a result, I learned all this stuff about beer. It was awesome.
What was the one thing he did right? I mean, what was the
right?
biggest thing you did right? That
really good beer.
If I remember correctly,
Bought off a senator?
No, it wasn't a senator. He set up shop. He goes, okay, wow, this state, I think it was Delaware, has no breweries. This is great. I will own the market. He didn't realize it didn't have any breweries because it's Amish country.
right.
And they had all these laws from Prohibition still on the books. And so what he did is, when he found that out, he sent cases of his beer to all of the
Amish people to try to corrupt them again?
to state representatives.
Oh.
And within 6 months, I believe, 6 months to a year, he had the laws changed.
Nice.
That's really interesting. Dogfish
That's
Head...
called gentrification.
Yeah.
Dogfish Head is one of the first, I remember in the early aughts, I mean, there was craft beer, but it wasn't like there is now, right? Mm-hmm. But that was one, I was in Baltimore, and, it was a presence. The way Stone is around here, that wasn't really a common thing even 10 years ago, where an indie brewery had that much of a presence, shelf space and end caps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling this Dogfish Head is everywhere in Baltimore. This is 2002 or 3. So he was kind of even ahead of the curve on the craft beer explosion in a way as well, or at least.
Well, what it was he approached beer as cooking. Where how with cooking you add spices slowly throughout the course of the whole process. So he figured out that if you add in your hops slowly throughout the entire brewing process instead of all at once, you get a different flavor. And he patented a brand new way of doing that, of introducing a hop at just the right times. And that's what makes his beer so distinct from everybody else.
This is wonderful because I didn't I thought we would come on here and talk about the wonderful books
we're gonna get to that.
Write and publish, but I love beer. I'm interested in some of the science behind it, but not I don't know that I kind of retain certain things about it, but the rest I'm I don't know. So I've always wanted to have people on here that can talk about it more.
Yeah. And I will say, the only thing worse than living in the ghetto is living with the Amish. I mean, they fucking stink. And I can say that because I know they're not watching because this is technology.
I grew up in Inglewood, so I've got at least half of that down.
Huh?
I grew up in Inglewood, so I got at least half of that down.
There's no Amish people in Inglewood.
No, there's ghetto.
Oh, right, but no, smelling Amish. Hashtag smelling Amish.
Smell
person.
and Amish, not smelling Amish.
Yeah.
Sniffing Amish.
Sniffing
Smell and Amish. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. That's like a good like scavenger hunt thing. Go sniff an Amish person. Get a whiff.
So if there's any Amish watching, probably not.
They don't. Well,
because-
this guy might be
well,
Amish. No, behind here.
I'm on Rum Spring, yeah.
Like, holy shit, there's an Amish man.
Well, there's
Give me an evil glare.
Amish and Mennonites.
No, I love the Amish. I saw Witness with Harrison Ford. Yeah. So.
You know, one of these books contains a story about an Amish person.
Oh wow!
What
Wait a
perfect
minute.
segue.
Which
Thank
one?
you, Josh.
Let me guess.
Eeny, meeny,
Whispers
miny.
from the Abyss.
No.
No, but
actually.
that actually would be fun to do a Lovecraft story.
But it does have rednecks in there and moonshiners.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
it does.
well,
Sorry, which one has Amish people in it?
Well, just for sheer bizarreness, Utopiates, the one that is Cyberpunk, described as Blade Runner meets Train Spotting.
What a description! Like that sells me on the spot.
The fourth story in the book is about a young woman who actually was kicked out of Amish country because she was a dyke, and she ends up on drugs and doing hit jobs.
Nice.
So,
So utterly strange.
Do we see some Amish people in here?
No, no.
God, he's just.
Because it's a new fetish.
So,
Sorry.
let's talk about how I found you guys.
All right.
So, we had David Blake Lucarelli on many months
About a year ago.
No, not a year yet, but and
Wow.
I believe,
You want to drink it out of
Kat, you publish. Is it Children's Vampires Brigade or?
No. I had a panel with him actually.
Okay.
Panel.
I run 01 Publishing,
Right.
and we were promoting Casefile Arkham, and David and I were on a panel. In fact, he was the moderator for the panel that I
okay.
was on at Long Beach Comic Con last September, and it was great talking about horror in comics and the history of horror in comics with him. And we got to talking, and I started following him on Facebook, and he mentioned that he had been on the show with you guys.
Okay.
So it's like, hey, if he thinks these guys are cool, then I should go check them
Aw.
out. So,
So,
Soiling the
at any
community.
rate, so Kat, you contacted us and sent us the first 2 chapters of Casefile Arkham. Joe. So we have like a Drinking with Comics email, and I hadn't checked in a while. And Joe's like, "Hey," he reminded me several times. He read it right after you sent it, and he's like, "You'll like this, and it just kept going past me. And then finally, I was like, "Oh, I remembered," and I read it, and I just absolutely loved it. And then I believe I contacted you, and I mean, it made.
Patrick
I only
nailed
read
it.
half of it, and it made my year. And like, I mean, I loved it. I'm a huge Lovecraft fan, and Noir is just, man, I don't know. There's something about the tone of like the old school black and white noirs, and like so a modern noir that really kind of sums up to me a lot of what I love about that is Brick, the first movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Like I think the first like real movie he did after he was on the show with John Lithgow, whatever. But they definitely kind of make it a caricature, the noir thing, but. I don't know. I loved it. So anyway, so that kind of got me into the noir thing, and I went back and like Kiss Me Deadly, great. Third Man, arguably the best black and white movie I've ever seen. Anyway, I don't know that necessarily qualifies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely
Yes.
qualifies.
I mean, I feel like I've been corrected on that before, but I also know that noir is like a thing that, like horror, like genres, a lot of times the parameters are very much up for discussion, right? So
Arkham,
Yeah,
Arkham
you-
is that
you
a
nailed-
DC thing or is that
no,
a H.P. Lovecraft
no,
thing?
that's Lovecraft.
yeah.
Lovecraft came up with Arkham?
Yeah, actually, Arkham Asylum is a tribute to Lovecraft's Arkham, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Which is kind of his stand-in for Boston and, was it Boston and Providence mixed?
I believe so.
So
And-
Lovecraft made up the name Arkham.
Yes, and Arkham is like Boston, but everything's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Every horrible thing that happened in the world is in or around Arkham.
Yeah.
So it's a Lovecraftian term
Yes.
Yeah.
that DC has co-opted.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's
I did not know. How many of you knew this?
Uh,
Fuck all you people. No, wait, no, but seriously, like, so has DC approached you like, hey, you can't use that?
No.
you
No,
own
they
that.
can't. Everybody uses it. Dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
Arkham-
no, I've only seen this. I thought we had a Batman comic here tonight.
But
You know-
he did work on Batman.
You know, if they gave us any shit about it, it would just be press for us because they
Yeah,
can't do anything.
exactly.
Right.
I mean, Arkham is it's a shared thing. Like it is.
So
very
we
much,
can start a band called Arkham Asylum, and we're good.
We can do anything we want with Arkham.
Let's do
Arkham
it.
Asylum might be. I mean,
Yeah.
you throw Asylum on it, you might.
How about the Arkham assholes?
That's fine. That'll work.
Let's
And
do it.
people will probably be like, that fits those guys perfectly. That's just
Let's
so
do it.
right. It's just them.
All right.
The one guy's a Lovecraft fan, the other guy's an asshole.
The
Yeah.
They'll
dark
just-
place where everything bad happens. Yes.
Ironically, there is no Arkham Asylum in Arkham City, but there is the Arkham Sanitarium.
Yes. Well, you could almost I believe Beyond the Wall of Sleep takes place largely in the Arkham Sanitarium.
Yeah.
Terrible movie adaptation. William Sanderson, I'm so sorry you had to be in that. Oh, God, I'm
So
sorry.
when did Arkham Asylum? All right, Science Officer Aaron. When did Arkham Asylum first appear in the DCU?
That's a good question. And
I'll tell you when I'm done with these technical difficulties.
Do you believe it
70s,
was-
maybe?
It was Bob Crane who put it in.
Really?
Right?
was it?
Really? I
Bob
don't think
Crane?
so.
Bob
Of course,
Kane?
Bob Kane. Sorry, I think Patrick told me that. So Patrick's the artist.
So I was okay. So talk about how you came up with Casefile Arkham. Now, technically, so this is Casefile Arkham Nightmare on Canvas, on the
Yes.
canvas. So this is probably the first salvo and what will be an ongoing thing.
If it does well, I mean, you know,
Buy
the thing
it.
is,
Make it do well.
this is the first story I've done where I worked my ass off. I felt like I was just going to completely be burned out and didn't want to do it ever again, which is usually how every story ends when you're done with it. But this one, I would say, 2 weeks later, I already had mapped out the next story.
Oh, nice.
It's already, outlined. So,
Wow.
and it was like the voice in your head that won't shut up. So,
You got to keep going.
Well,
Doesn't matter if it does well or not.
What
just
would
keep
Lovecraft say about that? I mean, that's
Going. Yeah.
it's so good. I was talking to them earlier, and when I read it, I felt like there is such a natural place where the noir thing and the Lovecraft kind of mythos overlap because they're from similar, the same kind of Americana time frame. And they're both, like you said, born of the same world events, right?
Yeah.
So talk about how did you have the idea? How did you go about? I mean, you said it took a lot of work to kind of refine it.
right. Okay, well, originally, we had just finished World War Kaiju, which in itself was a crucible, but a lot of fun to do. And Patrick and I were talking. A lot of people kept asking us to do something Lovecraft.
Why did they do that?
Well, Patrick, so help me with his last name because I cannot pronounce it.
McAvoy.
McAvoy. So easy.
Good Irish boy.
So he has done Lovecraft art previously.
Really, it's kind of a shame. I always call Patrick the artist you have all seen but don't know. And that is because you've all seen his art. He got his name primarily on Call of Cthulhu. If you've played any of the card games, bought any of the Chaosium
okay.
products, read any, you have seen his art. But he also did like Game of Thrones. He did Magic the Gathering. You name it.
Oh,
You
wow.
have seen his Arkham Horror. He did most of the art on that.
How'd you hook up with them?
Well, we had done a book with Archaea, and we had tabled with them once.
That was
at
Titanium.
Titanium Rain when we did that. And he was on, what was it, Starkweather?
Starkweather Immortal.
And we had tabled with him, and he is just a really cool guy. I mean, he's one of those people, it's hard not to get along with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's really a lot of fun. Actually, you should get him on sometime.
All right.
Does he live here?
San Francisco.
You can quiz him on comics, and he'll just go back with trivia like crazy.
Okay.
And talk about beer.
And talk about what?
Beer.
We
Beer.
should take a road trip up to San Fran and do it at the Utopia Comic Lounge.
You mean Isotope?
Isotope.
Well, who needs to start carrying Utopia?
Or he can come down here. I mean, it'd be easier for him to come down here for us.
For us. Well, anyway, so I'm sorry.
So,
Is there more beer here, by the way?
we were getting a lot of people asking us to do something Lovecraftian. We had, or Kat had just published this anthology, which I have the story in, but it's Prose, Whispers from the Abyss, which is Lovecraft inspired, and we were getting a lot of requests.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrick and I, out of pure avarice, sat down and said, well, why don't I just adapt a Lovecraft story for visual, and you do the art, and everyone will be happy about it. And about, 20 minutes into the conversation, it was, screw that, no, that does not sound interesting. And then we just started talking about how we love noir, and somewhere around the line, the two of us just decided, well, what if we did classic Chandler PI fiction in Lovecraft's universe? Because, part of the problem with a lot of Lovecraft, for me at least, was the characters are always just watching things happen.
Yes.
Things happen to them.
Yes.
And the great thing about noir is, the detective shoves himself into the story.
Yes.
He's going to punch someone. He's going to find out. And that was always kind of what was lacking in a lot of the Lovecraft stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, the people the story happened to them.
Yes.
And that was the initial idea. Patrick had said he'd been dying to do something that was a meshing. Angel Heart's one of his favorite films.
Oh my
Good movie.
Lord!
One of his
mine
favorite
too.
films, and he kept telling me his dream project was to do something like Angel Heart. We started talking about this, and I don't know which one of us said, well, why don't we fuse Lovecraft with noir? And that's where it started.
Nice. Has it never been done before?
It has, but not like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people have done it. It's kind of pastiche or camp.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it usually takes Lovecraft himself in terms of into kind of an action hero.
Yeah. There's a movie that the Lovecraft Film Fest in San Pedro had 2 or 3 years ago. I can't think of the name of it. I'd never heard of it before. Something Magic, and it was definitely.
It was that.
But it wasn't like. It didn't have the grit of noir, right?
Right.
There was it wasn't.
Is that his
camp,
real
but-
last name, or he make that shit up?
No, that's really his name.
Yeah.
How come there's no other how come there's not like a Mike Lovecraft or
There
a
is.
Sean Lovecraft,
Google it. I'm sure there is.
Dave Lovecraft?
Because the elder things killed all of them.
There you go. Yeah.
Every
I
single
think because he
one.
maybe didn't reproduce.
Well, that too.
That too. Well, he was married to his second cousin.
That's
so.
good. That's a good last name, though.
But I mean, that fits in with the Appalachian inbred thing that runs, through all of his work.
Lovecraft history.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
It's a good question.
we
Yeah.
decided on that. Why didn't you reproduce?
Yeah.
You really want the answer? I can answer that.
Was he Amish?
No, it is because
circle.
Because he was terrified of vaginas. Seriously, women terrified the crap out
Yeah.
of him.
I fucking love women, dude.
And if you read his story, Thing on the Doorstep,
Yeah.
That's why I'm a bad writer. Go ahead.
you read the story Thing on the Doorstep, it's about pretty much, it's obviously a stand-in for him and his wife. And
Yeah, he had a wife?
yeah, actually,
Yeah, he was his second cousin.
well, no, she
Was
was
it?
no,
No.
she was Jewish, which is kind
No,
of
I thought it was his, no.
I had one of those.
no. He married, I forget her name. That's her last name. I actually
Wasn't Carol
Love
Mellison, was
Steam.
it?
That would be fantastic. Mrs. Lovecraft
What,
Steam.
Thurber?
no, actually, I threw in a reference to her somewhere in the background. I forget what it was, but I have her name on a hat shop because she ran a hat shop. It was Green, Sonia Green.
Sonia
So
Green.
in here, in the background, there's Sonia Green's hat shop as a reference to.
Nice.
In fact, she ran a hat shop. But yeah, she was Jewish, which is kind of interesting considering he was a horrible anti-Semite.
Oh, was he?
I will say there is a thing with Lovecraft, and I mean,
Is that empty?
God help me.
They both are, yeah.
I really like Lovecraft, but
No. He hated everybody equally.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
he's
that
not
doesn't
he's
make
a
it right,
bigot,
Miss
it's
Trump.
that he hated everyone equally.
there is that thing where it does get more and more.
You can hate the Amish because they don't know.
It gets
They
hard-
don't read
it
it
gets
on
harder
social
to
media.
ignore.
Don't hate anybody
Oh, yeah.
else.
No,
the
I just
horror
love
at Red
the
Hook
description,
is.
Mongol
Oh,
Louisianans.
yeah.
That
Well, now my take on it was for someone who was so utterly terrified of everything and everyone. It was that mindset and that kind of xenophobia that could produce
That's exactly what it is.
extra-dimensional
Yes.
monsters that were there to kill him.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, so it did. It
So,
served
but
us
they were
well as
really
readers.
Jewish people. What he was envisioning. It was like,
Jewish people, Mexicans.
with
did he
tentacles.
did he build walls?
No,
well,
no, he
The Wall
he-
of Sleep?
Look, he did not even. He even slammed Eskimos. I mean,
Well, have you ever seen an Eskimo? Would you ever sleep with an Eskimo?
I've never seen an Eskimo. No.
They're.
I'm not a
I mean,
Canadian.
all right. So, like, nothing against the people, but I got a fuck scale. You know what I mean?
Hashtag.
You know,
My fuck scale.
Usually when we took
Bad teeth, like also stinky, but they got the snow around them, so they don't stink as much.
Wow, I'm gonna leave.
This I think
These are just called jokes, Sean.
this is the first time I've been in a comic store where the word fuck scale is not used in conjunction with superhero women. It's about
It's refreshing in that capacity. You're right.
it's like,
Actually, you're
okay, so Wonder Woman,
Who
Power
here?
Girl, and Black Cat.
Show of
what's your-
hands, because a lot of you.
I'll just
had
stop drinking now because I know.
Who
I'm
here
gonna
would
spit
fuck an Eskimo? Show of hands. I mean, now tonight at this point, I would probably. Yeah.
Inuit, Mike. Inuit.
No, I probably would, but I mean, I'm drunk.
Inuit.
I'm not participating.
The
I'm
term-
this
They're
isn't a
called
negative.
Inuits now.
Inuits?
Inuits.
Oh, is it racist to call them Eskimos now?
Yeah. The term giant albino penguin has a whole new meaning now. Thank you.
Okay.
But no, he wrote
yeah.
us. So anyway,
Back to your book.
Lovecraft wrote a story called "Thing on the Doorstep," which was
About
obviously
Eskimos.
him leaving his wife, and in the story, the woman that's obviously supposed to be his wife is a Innsmouth half fish person,
Yeah.
and she's
Wow.
corrupted him into this horrible monster. And basically, his idea of being a corrupted, horrible monster, she made him masculine.
Wow.
He was-
So you said he was afraid of vagina, so
He was afraid of everything, yeah.
Yeah, he's
But he was even afraid of
his mother-
masculinity. So
his mother dressed him up as a girl when he was a small child.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Him and
was
Robert
he the
Townsend
one that
were
had
getting
the
along
friendship with
Oh, yeah.
he had the friendship with
Howard?
Conan,
Oh,
Robert
yeah.
E. Howard, right?
In
Yeah, Howard wrote-
Who was all man.
In fact,
Oh,
they
yeah.
would switch off characters.
Well, Howard's Cthulhu mythos stories are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly he envied Howard
Yeah,
for
I
who
think
he
you're
was.
right. I think
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
But
Lovecraft
Howard
didn't-
looked up to him. I saw that movie
Lovecraft didn't achieve being Lovecraft until after he was dead.
Success. You mean?
Yeah, well, but
acknowledgement.
being,
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't not, he was liked in his circle, but I mean, he has gone on. I mean, is he? He might be the writer that has informed the most fiction
Oh, I'd
in the
agree.
last,
Yeah,
150 years.
That's actually one of the reasons I'm kind of annoyed with the drive within horror, fantasy, and sci-fi to purge his name from everything. I mean, yeah, okay, so he was a horrible person, but let's face it, he did lay the ground for modern horror.
Well, and his writing is amazing.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Like, there's things that you can't put into writing, and he always says, like, these ineffable things that you can't... but he puts them into writing. The first paragraph of Call of Cthulhu
Yeah.
is some of the most... just, like, it's like thinking sideways and being able to write it. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Back to the book.
Good Lord.
So, okay.
Hashtag back to the book.
So getting back to Casefile Arkham, why did it happen? Like I said, Patrick and I talked. He really wanted to do something in the Angel Heart genre. I went away for about 2 weeks, called him back with this concept, and then we started having these brainstorming sessions, back and forth, back and forth. And when I write something, I just completely immerse myself in it. I was going to sleep every night to audiobooks of
Emerging
Yes,
into something
let
that's...
the
emerge.
man that finished the giant beer before the show. Just let
No,
him
but
speak.
you're right. Emerging into something that's what we do. That's what Bill Cosby does.
Yep. You know, the amazing thing is, as a writer, I actually don't talk to people very often.
But you
That means-
immerse.
That's why
you
you're a
immerse.
good writer.
I say
This is my last good thought of the night. So.
I'm a shut-in, actually. This is really good to
That's
talk
why
to.
you're a good writer.
But anyway, I talked to. I just immersed myself in. I went to bed listening to Chandler books. Watched nothing but stuff of the era, 1940s. Nothing but those films. Read those books. Studied how the sentences were structured, the language, the wording.
There's a beat to it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And finding out, even studying how people really talked back then and how they stylistically talked in the novels. And then, Patrick's a wonderful, wonderful fact checker. So anytime you ran across an anachronism, he said, well, I don't think that's a word actually people used back then. So he was real good
It's
with
good
that.
to have that too. When you're immersed, it's hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to see everything for what it is, and
Right.
a stray idea can get in there. It's like, no, that's not from that era.
And Patrick is a real stickler for the nitpicky facts and details. Like in World War Kaiju, this still gets me. There's a scene at the very beginning with the Enola Gay. which is the plane that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, he actually looked up what phase of the moon it was.
Well, yeah, I
Oh,
had written
Patrick McAvoy.
I had written the scene with the Enola Gay flying in with the full moon on its back. Granted, it dropped during the day, but it's an alternate history. There's a reason it happens differently in this story.
Yeah.
And I wrote that it was a full moon. And he said, well, I went online and I checked. If you look at the date, it was actually this. It's like, go for it, Patrick. Good. Go for it.
Wow.
Some fights aren't worth fighting.
No,
What?
that's worth
No,
fighting.
no, I applauded
That's
him.
impressive. That's
Yeah,
it
it's good.
did. It was like,
I love that level of nuance.
Yeah.
Like that when you hear something like that, you're like, oh my god,
That's why I love working with him.
yeah, one of my favorite stories of creation with him is that he would get into that much detail. And
Oh,
he does
that's amazing.
that. And that's
And,
why he's wonderful to work with.
World War Kaiju, the first book at least, is set in the 50s for the most part, during the Cold War. And he went, and he's kind of a nut for mid-century U.S. culture anyway. So there's a lot of stuff in the background he just put in himself that fit the period.
that's awesome.
It's a fun book. It's totally
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is this the first book that you guys did together?
Yes, World War Kaiju was the first one, and we followed up with Casefile Arkham,
Okay,
which
okay.
look absolutely different.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so talk about the publishing end of this. So, Kat, how did this start? How did
01 Publishing.
01 Publishing start?
Um,
It's 01, right?
01.
01.
It is okay.
It's 01. The nice version is that I wanted to go into business for myself, and my mom's a librarian. I love comics, and I wanted to start my own company and put out what I thought were books that were awesome and that were not getting the attention they deserved. The not nice version is that I figure if I'm not making money anyway, I might as well do it for myself and not for somebody else.
That's
Well,
brilliant.
you're making money now,
Yeah,
though.
now I am making
That's
money.
brilliant. That's wow.
Well, because Josh and I got started doing, Utopiates. Actually, this book is now on its 10-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
And and it's like, it just seemed like everybody was making money on the books, but us. And then we went on to do our next
And
project.
it didn't
the same
matter
thing.
how good your lawyer was. They
Yeah.
just found a way of not sending the goddamn check.
So who
Yeah.
published Utopiates first?
Originally, it was Bloodfire Studios,
Okay.
who I don't think exists anymore.
Okay.
So.
Probably not.
And
No.
then we did Titanium Rain with,
Archaea, who does
Yeah.
exist.
but, well,
Well,
it's
no,
nuts.
they're both owned by Boom now.
They're
and,
really not the same
they
company.
actually they were wonderful. Boom gave us back all of our rights, no questions asked. They're like, you know what,
Once-
here, handshake, it's
That's
nice
awesome.
meeting
Once-
you guys. So they were wonderful.
Once
so.
Boom took over Archaea, not a complaint at all. They were great to work with.
We
Yeah.
got a
That's
check.
awesome.
What?
We got a check.
No, we got a couple checks.
Yeah. But so Boom's wonderful. But before then,
There were problems.
there were problems with old Archaea. And it was just kind of like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of,
If we're going to work this hard,
might as well do it for ourselves. So,
Right.
So I started 01 Publishing, and went back.
What's the origin of the name? How'd you come about that name?
Well, we actually were originally planning on doing more cyberpunk-esque books.
we still are.
Yeah, we still are. And Utopiates originally. Phil K. Dick meets actually Noir stories.
Well,
Well.
it's it's real heavy William Gibson.
Blade Runner
influence.
meets Train Spotting. That was my pitch.
Yeah.
And then we did Titanium Rain with Archaea, which is futuristic fighter pilots. And so we were really kind of going down this Ghost in the Shell angle. So 01 binary. So
Okay.
that's the name.
Cool.
So. But lately we've been doing more horror and darker science fiction, which
Right.
is fun. I love doing that, but we will return to cyberpunk eventually.
Well, I got a project in the works.
Yeah.
2 of them actually, but
You want to talk about them?
the first one being, and granted, this is in the earliest of phases. Like I said, once Boom took over Archaea, they were just wonderful to work with. It was literally a phone call. Hey, do you want to publish the next book? And I said, nah, but you can have all your rights back. Done.
Great! You
So?
guys are awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boom.
And
That's what they're called.
I'm saying, but I wasn't saying boom.
So, anyway, with the rights back, what I'm doing now is we're going to go back and do the whole series over. Honestly, when we did the book initially, I was pushing the limits of our ability as artists. The project was a whole lot bigger than I knew we were able to do, and I wanted to just see what we could achieve. I'm now working with an incredible artist who does kind of high-end Halo-esque concept art. And we're going to redesign the whole look and feel, give it more of a... It's going to look a bit more Ghost in the Shell, a bit more just modern, high-tech cyberpunk aesthetic. It'll look more sci-fi. And I don't want to rely on models anymore because there were a lot of sacrifices made to do that. So it's going to be more painted.
Okay.
It'll be very realistic. It'll have the same aesthetic, but look more futuristic. And, I've become a better writer. So we're going to do all three this time around. And that'll probably take a year or two to get ready. I mean, there's a lot of concepts. It's just started. The other thing is that I'm working right now is I'm editing an anthology of post-apocalyptic and cyberpunk reinterpretations of classic fairy tales. And it's prose. It's not comics. It's prose. I'll have a story in it, but I've gathered some really good people. Author named A.C. Wise, who I think is horribly underrated. She's an incredible author. Nicole Cushing, who is kind of an up-and-comer in horror. And I just finished talking to another really excellent up-and-comer doing cyberpunk, who is named D.L. Young. And the whole mission statement was, I was getting really... Okay, again, right now, there's a lot of, I guess, kind of identity issues going on within science fiction and fantasy especially, and unfortunately there's this real push to make everything a safe space.
Well, I think that is lateral across a
Yeah.
lot of...
And a safe space, politically, it's... everyone's going to feel comfortable.
Nobody wants to offend anybody anymore.
Exactly.
And the idea is, well, not you. You are excluded. God, man.
Yeah, see, this is actually why I like working with you.
I
This
know,
is great.
I
You
know.
don't care. You're going to fuck an Eskimo even though you don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, my new anthology is called Rape Sticks. But go ahead with your safe space.
I need a safe space now.
Oh, man.
Anyway, yeah, there's just this kind of overarching drive to make everything safe, trigger warnings, I don't want to offend anyone, and my boss doesn't care. She
It's
runs her
also
own,
your wife, so...
she runs a publishing company. She doesn't get offended by anything.
Oh, hell no.
And I was getting very tired of also the fact that there's this ongoing, people can't handle it, people can't handle this, and thinking about how many of us came to genre writing from fairy tales. And if you think about fairy tales being read to kids, I mean, cannibalism, torture, demons, it's some really dark stuff. Hansel and Gretel's two kids get lost in a forest and someone tries to eat them. Most of the writers I know, across the board, they got their first taste of this stuff as kids through fairy tales, and they're horrifying.
Yeah.
And my thought was, I'm seeing all the fairy tales now. Most of them have turned into harlequin romances. They're very friendly. They're
Friendly.
they've become very watered down. So my idea was, we're going to put together an anthology. We're going to put the teeth back in fairy tales, and we're going to redo it by framing them in the modern mythology of dystopian, post-apocalyptic, and cyberpunk. And I pretty much told each writer, write the story you want, make it as dark as you want, make it as scary as you want, don't worry about offending anyone, we'll publish it.
So let's talk about Utopiates.
Okay, sure.
Now, I haven't read this, but the idea of personalities being distilled into a drug, very Philip K. Dick in a way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But man, the art's great. Where did this come from?
I was in school at the time, and I was in math class taking a GE. I was bored out of my skull, and I jotted down the line. I bought my first imprint at 16, It was a cheap, low-grade RNA called Family, which was neatly packaged in a disposable injector slug. And that's where it came from. Literally.
That's the first line you wrote for the book.
And they
So
said,
did you take that line and contemplate it and
what did this mean?
kind of build off around it?
Yeah, it was like, what does this mean? And I started putting together this idea that you could inject memories and personalities, and they were being sold as a drug on the street, and it was originally developed for therapy. And just started telling stories from that perspective.
That's awesome.
I knew I wanted to do something that was kind of in the vein of Philip K. Dick, Jeff Noon's Vert, which if anyone's read that, wonderful writer.
I don't know what that is. I feel like I should.
You should.
He's a cyberpunk writer who kind of came to popularity in the UK mostly in the 90s.
They always like better stuff.
It's great.
Yeah.
Actually, Jeff Noon's going to have a story in Grimm Fairy Tales.
Oh, nice.
The Grimm feature book. So just started putting it together. Wrote originally a 5-page...
Grim Future Tales.
Grim Futures.
Grim Future Tales. I like that.
Anyway.
I know you thought of it already, but it's good.
But so I started piecing the ideas together. I knew I wanted to do something. It was a tribute to all the cyberpunk I enjoyed. Originally, it was a 5-page script that I tried to get published at 2000 AD. Wouldn't let go. I just wouldn't let go of it. And I don't know. We just decided. I decided. So one day I went to you and I said, "We're going to do comics." That was kind of it.
And I went, okay. I was actually going to art school at the time because I thought at the time that I wanted to. Well, I knew I wanted to do comics. I just thought at the time I wanted to be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to art school.
But you drew this, right?
I was a penciler, yeah.
So what do you have coming up?
In April of this year, we were going to be publishing Nicole Cushing's latest novella called The Sadist Bible.
I saw you just announced this.
Yeah.
Is she famous?
recently.
Well,
Who is she?
She's an up-and-comer, and she is amazing. And
Yeah.
there are no safe spaces with her stuff. So
what it was I had come across a story of hers called was it The Hanging Garden? I think I forget it.
On Pseudopod, right?
Yeah, it was on Pseudopod, and it was just impressive. Really, it was this kind of warped vision of hell as Eden.
Okay.
And there's these trees that have fetuses growing on them, and you have to hear it. I can't do it justice. And so I started talking to her. I started looking into her work, and at the time she was kind of a known quantity. By the time we actually started discussing publishing her work, she's on the way up. I would say, keep my fingers crossed. I really, really hope she gets the recognition she deserves, because her work is raw, it's honest, it's I put it up there with Barker. I'd say she definitely has the potential to be another kind of visceral horror story writer like Barker, where you read it, it's shocking, it's disturbing, and you want to read more of it.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough to get her on board, and we're going to be publishing again the Sadist Bible in April. So that will be done digitally at first, and then it will be released in print.
Actually, I'm quite proud of how we got that to novella. She has a number of novels coming out very rapidly. I think what it is the industry has recognized she's good, and she's getting a lot of stuff published. And so I went to her and I said, "Okay, what do you have that no one will dare publish?"
Brilliant.
And that's
the
I
avatar.
love that,
got.
like you guys are looking for that. I love that you're like running counter to the safe space thing, because I mean that is like kind of the way things are going in the overarching like culture is very everything's safe, don't offend anybody.
I mean, if you're reading horror fiction especially, but if you're reading horror, sci-fi, fantasy to feel safe, you're in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, first of all, you should read to encounter ideas that would be contradictory to your own, because it will make you a better person, and it shouldn't threaten the way that you feel or the way that you think, but it should at least offer, like a juxtaposition to it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, but the other thing is horror.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it can't be too fucking horrifying if it's safe. I really like Stephen King, but he's not a horror writer. I don't think he really ever has been.
He's a good writer.
He's a great writer, but I don't know that it's horror. Some of his stuff is, but Barker is interesting because the first time I read Barker in high school, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, visceral is the word.
Yeah.
It's not safe, and it makes you feel funny. And the idea that, like, younger culture is against that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what horror is for. But there is something to be said about the more things proliferate and horror becomes less of, like, an ideal and more of, like, a brand. It's going to get safer. And we don't need more people contributing to that.
I don't give a flying fuck when anyone says Twilight is not horror. Okay.
No. Well, I don't know that I've ever heard. Well, horror would be reading it.
No, there's
that would be horrible.
There's a push to try and put that under the umbrella. It's like, no. That's Harlequin romance.
Yeah.
Or even if it's not Harlequin romance, it's
not romance.
It's just not horror.
Look, I'm romantic too. All right, let's not cut straws here.
Okay. Well, maybe it's creepy Mormon stalker, but
I like that. That's a genre. Stephanie Meyer. Creepy Mormon stalker. So there's another. The second Whispers from the Abyss is already out, and it's doing well on Amazon, correct?
Correct, yeah. The second one is out, again, digitally, and we will be putting it out in print later this year. So.
Awesome.
And Titanium Rain is coming?
Titanium Rain's in development. It's probably, like I said, it's probably about a year or two out.
Okay.
Because there's going to be a lot of prep work. What's next for us, aside from my anthology that I'm putting together, is it's one of two things. Either it's going to be the next installment of World War Kaiju, unless, and that's up to you, Casefile Arkham fans, if this sells really, really well, I'll have no choice but to go directly to the sequel.
I wish we had a 1-800 number like DC did back in the day. Yeah. Like, should we
kill
Robin should it be World War Kaiju or Casefile Arkham?
Just call the comic bug and tell us.
Please.
310-372-6704.
Well, no, the answer would be don't pirate it off of 4chan.
So before we wrap up, let's do a quick installment of Close Your Eyes and Feel This. So
before we do that, I just want to plug one book. Power Man and Iron Fist. I know, like, we're getting to it late. I'm drunk. I can't really give it service. But it's an awesome book. Camaraderie.
In the 70s.
Well, no, but it's present
Coming
day.
Home to Roost.
It's about these two guys who used to hang out in the 70s, and they haven't hung out in a long time. They get back together, and like Luke Cage 70? Is married now to Jessica Jones. You guys watch Jessica Jones on Netflix.
Spoilers.
And she's like, "Are you really hanging out with Iron Fist again?" And Iron Fist is like a fucking cool guy. He's like, "Hey, tell Jessica I said hi." And so it's a really cool sort of awkward camaraderie. Okay. It's the best book of the year.
So Iron Man and Power Fist.
No, but that's funny because like when they go to encounter the villain, he keeps calling Iron Fist Iron Man. And he's like, "No, it's Iron Fist. It's Iron Fist." Have you read it?
Iron Man and Power Fist.
It's great. Dave Walker, Mis Amigo, and Sanford Green, amazing artist. Lee Lowbridge, I don't know if I said that right. Good colorist. Great book. There it is. That's for you, Joe.
Wow.
That's 3D. I saw a 3D movie last night coming at you.
So now we're going to have to edit in the part where I say, when Mike looks really drunk, put on your 3D glasses because there's going to be a surprise.
All right, cool.
So,
that's a great book.
So Close Your Eyes and Feel This. So Mike wanted to know which of the 4 books that you guys have here feel the best. So do we have a volunteer?
We have a volunteer to close your eyes and feel this.
Chris Saunders immediately.
He's like, yes. All right.
I'll do it.
All right, close your eyes.
So hold on. So we're going to go into Close Your Eyes and Feel This.
Yep.
Okay.
We need a moment because I'm going to write a theme song and it's going to come in. No.
Oh, shit.
No, we do the drop.
I'm a little stuffy so that the sniff test is no good.
Okay, so eyes closed.
Okay.
The mixie's up. All right, feel the first one.
All right, the first one.
Okay. Wait, you're supposed to do this. This is your segment.
You gotta go lower. You gotta go lower.
Okay.
Yeah, watch that. Watch
On the table. I don't know you.
All right.
Okay. You gotta use your mouth. Okay.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh
No,
my
no, no,
God.
no, you
that's-
can't. No,
I
no.
can't pick it
You
up?
gotta just you run your fingers across. No, this arm behind your back. This arm behind your back.
This one. I'm
This arm.
I'm right-handed, fucker.
What is going on
Okay.
here? I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right. Can I flip? Can I flip?
Inside.
Can I flip?
Yes, inside.
Now tell me.
Number 2.
Okay.
I'm disturbed. I should not have.
Can I move my own hand? I'm an adult. All right. Okay.
All right. And number 3.
Oh no, no!
I know where you live, fucker.
I'm above him.
Is that a promise for later?
I'll get that later.
Oh my
Now,
God.
Okay.
And
now we got
Number
one
4.
more. One more. Now you've got to tell us which one feels
Okay.
like the silky smooth skin of an Eskimo child.
Oh my God.
That's not my penis. It's a book. All right. You want one more, or do you want?
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
It's made of wood.
One more.
No, I'm gonna go.
1 through 4.
First book
So I guess,
was.
Josh, I guess
Yeah.
if you pay attention, put them together, please.
Sean, you promised.
Is this really happening?
You promised fun tonight, dude.
If this wasn't enough fun, I can't help you.
Well, I just
So
I just didn't touch me.
I think that the fans have spoken,
did
and
I
that
look?
this is probably where you should go next.
Hey.
So actually, the one you liked was my penis.
That's impossible. I left the microscope at home, dude.
What has happened is Mike's penis apparently feels like wood pulp.
It is made of wood.
And it is approximately how many pages long?
168.
And has wonderful art by Patrick McAvoy. So
Yes.
Patrick, I'm sorry that you had to suffer the modeling that you probably had to suffer. But so 01 Publishing, man, I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff. On that note, we will sign off and. Thank you guys for being on. And
Yes.
sorry. it
No,
turned
no,
into
no!
an
You've got to
Eskimo
bring us back.
fucking-
This was great. I want to do another show.
All right.
Yeah. You should. Come here, hugs.
Ah,
Come here.
How's Thursday?
You guys are amazing. Great guests.
Hey, it's Shawn and Mike and everybody else here at Drinking with Comics. We just want to ask you guys if you dig the show or if you hate the show. If you hate something, you want to fuel that hate, right? You really want to
Feed it.
fuel it, right?
Give into your
So
hatred.
here's what you want to do. You want to subscribe to our channel on YouTube because if you like us, you'll be like, these guys are awesome. There's always stuff. I like them even more. If you hate us, you'll be like, I just need to keep subscribing. Well, you only subscribe once, actually. But
If you really hate us, call us at 424-271-5610 or write that
us.
number on
Let
bathroom
us
walls.
know. Let us know. If you're like, I want to take you guys to see Alice Cooper, all expenses paid, we're down. If you want
Or
to.
just like, I hear Sean gives good blowjobs. Call 424-271-5610.
You know what? Yes, leave it in the men's room. It's fine.
Yeah, just put it in the men's room.
And then you're also going to want to follow us on Tinder. You're going to follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Yeah,
Twitter.
that's a big one, right?
Twitter.
Jesse Eisenberg wants you to follow us on his website. Clearly. And that's it.
MySpace. Are we on MySpace?
No, no one is. Read comics, drink beer, and subscribe, follow us. You'll have a good time.